This is my Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 8 Internet Pay-Per-View review. The pay-per-view just went off the air a little while ago. And I gotta say, overall, this pay-per-view delivered to its expectations. It was a great pay-per-view outing from Ring of Honor. This is one of those Ring of Honor shows that I would highly recommend for people that have never seen a Ring of Honor show before and just want to get into the Ring of Honor product. I think this would be the perfect show because this show, you had a great main event, you had a great brawl tag match. You had a good match with Daniels and Kenny Omega, and the Kevin Steen and El Generico stuff was very good as well. And there's only minor gripes you could have with this pay-per-view, and I'll list those off real quick as far as any gripes I had with this pay-per-view or any problems I had with this pay-per-view. First being the one problem I had with it was the booking of the second annual Toronto Gauntlet. I think that could have been booked better, and the Aries and Delirious match, I think you could have gone the route they wanted to, prolong the feud. I don't have too much of a problem with them wanting to prolong the feud, but I think they could have went a better route than they went with the interference of the Kenny King and Rhett Titus and the match ending disqualification. And the other minor gripe, which is very minor, which was during the Toronto Gauntlet, about the beginning of it for about a minute and a half, probably 2 minutes at the longest. The stream for the pay-per-view on Go Fight Live went black. Didn't see anything for about a minute and a half from 2 minutes, but that was the only time that there was any problem with the stream or any problem with video or anything. Because this time they pretty much fixed it perfect. That was the only time they ever had a problem with the stream during this pay-per-view was during the Toronto Gauntlet for about probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And they fixed it fairly quick. But the opening match was, it was looking like you were going to get the Cheech and Cloudy Up in Smoke versus Kenny King and Rhett Titus. That match didn't happen at first. You see Cheech and Cloudy, they're coming out to the ring, and El Generico runs past him, runs into the ring, gets on the mic, calls out Kevin Steen, saying, "Kevin Steen, now," keeps on yelling that. Then you see Steve Corino come out there, and Steve Corino says, "What are you thinking about here, El Generico? Kevin Steen is not going to be opening a pay-per-view. He's much better than that. He's a main event type guy in this company. He is not going to be taking you on now. You're just going to have to wait." And then he kept on saying, "Kevin Steen," El Generico kept yelling, "Kevin Steen, come out here now. I want this match now." Kevin Steen ends up coming out there. They get in the ring. They're head-to-head staring at each other, and Steve Corino, he's outside the ring, is saying, "Kevin Steen, don't do this now. This is not the time to do this." And then Kevin Steen, you can hear him say to Steve Corino, "This is now. I'm going to do this now and take out El Generico now." And this was a surprising way to start the pay-per-view, and it definitely was a great way to even, build up that these two guys hate each other so much that, El Generico, he came out there, wanted to have his match with Kevin Steen be the beginning of the pay-per-view, and then Kevin Steen, obviously accepted it, and just a very brutal match, good back and forth action, really enjoyable stuff in it. It worked very good where they seemed like they worked so good with each other that they made you believe they actually really hate each other. That's how good they did it here. And just good back and forth action, enjoyable match. And this is definitely not going to be the end of their feud. Kevin Steen, he picks up the victory after you see El Generico. He's trying to go for his top rope brainbuster to Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen then gets a wrench, hits El Generico with it, and then hits a top rope pump handle neck breaker to El Generico to pick the victory up in a 4-star match. Great way to start the pay-per-view. And then the next matchup was Cheech and Cloudy versus Kenny King and Rhett Titus. This was originally going to be the match to be the opener before they did the thing with El Generico coming out there. And then that was obviously the opener. This is a good tag match, good tag team action with Cheech and Cloudy versus Kenny King and Rhett Titus. Just a solid match, some enjoyable stuff in it. Not Kevin Steen, but Kenny King and Rhett Titus picked the victory up after hitting the one-night stand to Cheech in this, and to Cloudy in this match, and a 3-star match, pretty entertaining tag match. Then the next matchup was Austin Aries versus Delirious, and a grudge match. This match was with the stipulation where Kenny King and Rhett Titus are barred from ringside. And I understand the idea of them wanting to prolong the feud and not just end the feud on this pay-per-view. But I think, you know, this type of feud with Austin Aries and Delirious would have been okay if you would have ended at this pay-per-view, because it's not a feud I don't think people are going to get so into that they want to see it prolonged for another month or two or something like that. And most people would have been fine if it just ended at this pay-per-view. But they didn't go that route, and the end of the match comes when looks like Delirious is going to hit the Shadows Over Hell to Austin Aries, but then Kenny King and Rhett Titus come out there. The match ends in disqualification due to that, so Delirious does pick up the win via disqualification. And just the run-in and disqualification ending, I just did not like. It was like something that could have been, you know, put on, you know, their Ring of Honor HD Net program instead of on the pay-per-view. I think it could have just, the feud could have just ended. I think that would have been better. Or they could have done some route having Austin Aries pick the victory up in some, you know, shady fashion without having Kenny King and Rhett Titus get involved, or have the match end in disqualification. So the ending of it with disqualification stuff kind of hurt it for me. I thought, you know, it could have been better. It wasn't a terrible match. It was going on actually pretty good before that. And overall, I'll give that match probably 2 1/4 stars. That's the only match on this pay-per-view that I would say, you know, isn't worth going back to watch. And that's the only match on this pay-per-view that I would say, if you haven't, you know, watched this pay-per-view already and you're thinking about ordering it when it goes up on the on-demand on Go Fight Live in about 2 days, either Monday or Tuesday, it'll go up there, and you're thinking about ordering it, this is the only match I would say that isn't worth seeing. It was not that good at all. Then the next matchup was the second annual Toronto Gauntlet match. So this was under Gauntlet rules, obviously, and it was Tyson Dukes versus Eddie Edwards versus Shawn Daivari versus Colt Cabana versus Steve Corino versus Roderick Strong. And the beginning of this match, it started off with Eddie Edwards and Tyson Dukes. They went back and forth with each other for about 10 minutes. And within this match, you know, I already stated my problem. I thought this match could have been booked better. And when I'm giving my thoughts on this match, you'll kind of see what I mean that it could have been booked better, especially the ending of the match. But the only other problem was that you had with this match was for about roughly 2 minutes or so, maybe even less than that, the feed for the pay-per-view went out on Go Fight Live, but they fixed it pretty quick. You didn't miss any elimination or anything in this match. And you know, Tyson Dukes and Eddie Edwards were working pretty good with each other. Kind of enjoyed their stuff they had. They went for about 10 minutes before there was elimination, and surprisingly, Tyson Dukes eliminates Eddie Edwards. I definitely did not see that coming. I was really shocked to see Eddie Edwards be the first one eliminated in this match. I wasn't expecting Tyson Dukes to eliminate him, and it ended in a roll-up, so it wasn't like, it was kind of done in a shock fashion, so at least it didn't hurt Eddie Edwards too much, losing to Tyson Dukes. Then after that, Shawn Daivari comes out there, and then you see Shawn Daivari and Tyson Dukes. Then with the help of Prince Nana, Shawn Daivari eliminates Tyson Dukes. Then Colt Cabana comes out there, very quickly eliminates Shawn Daivari, puts him in the Billy Goat's Curse, submission hold, and Daivari then taps out. Then you get the first thing in this match that probably most people were interested in seeing, which was Colt Cabana and Steve Corino against each other. And obviously with the whole thing with them both being involved in the Kevin Steen and El Generico feud, you knew you'll see some good stuff here, and they were brawling with each other, some entertaining stuff between these two. Enjoy this part, and probably the beginning portion with Tyson Dukes and Eddie Edwards was probably the entertaining spots of this, because there were some parts of this match that were kind of, you know, dragged on a little bit, but this part was very good with Colt Cabana and Steve Corino. And I have never been really a fan of Steve Corino, but I will say in certain types of feuds, and when it has like that blood feud type feeling behind it, he actually does tend to work pretty good against certain people then in those circumstances. And him and Cabana did pretty good stuff here. Cabana then eliminates Steve Corino, and then after he eliminates Steve Corino, before Roderick Strong comes out there, Roderick Strong was the last person to come out there. You saw Steve Corino and him still brawling, then Roderick Strong came in there, and him and Cabana were pretty solid, you know, pretty decent stuff between them two. The ending of the match was very weak and very whack, to say the least. Was Roderick Strong, he now has the manager, Truth, he's got the manager, Truth Martini out there, and is just, I don't mind the character and the manager, Truth Martini, because it kind of makes it seem like it could be something good with Roderick Strong, because I think he does kind of need a manager to kind of help get himself over a little more, and Truth Martini possibly could do that. He kind of seems like a guy that you're just going to, love to hate. It kind of seems a little like a clone of ECW's Cyrus, or the network in ECW's Cyrus when they were on TNN back in the day, ECW. That's what it kind of seems like. And then the match comes when Truth Martini comes in there, hits Colt Cabana with the book that he carries around, and Roderick Strong then picks up the victory. So Roderick Strong is going to get a future Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title shot. And this match, some good stuff in it. I like the stuff with Cabana and Steve Corino. And, before the ending of the match, what you saw with Cabana and Roderick Strong was actually pretty good. And the opening portion with Tyson Dukes versus Eddie Edwards was pretty good. So you saw some good, solid stuff in there. I just think it could have been booked better, and I would have preferred having someone like Eddie Edwards win this match, or someone other than Roderick Strong. I like Roderick Strong, but it's just like, what's the point of having him get another Ring of Honor World title shot? He's not going to win the title, and it's been given so many opportunities. I think it would have been best to give it to someone else. But nonetheless, you saw some good stuff in there. I would give it 3 stars overall because it was some good stuff in it. Just I think it could have been booked better. Then the next matchup was actually before the next matchup, they went to intermission after the second annual Toronto Gauntlet, and actually during the intermission, you saw them do stuff to continue the El Generico and Kevin Steen feud. You saw El Generico just completely snap, and he was choking out Kevin Steen, and that's just going to further the feud. Cannot wait to see the next match they're going to have against each other. They'll probably have, some other gimmick match before they go the route of having the Fight Without Honor, but that right there, the Kevin Steen El Generico feud is probably one of the feuds that I'm looking forward to the most this year. It's definitely been one of the best feuds this year, and I cannot wait to see them two against each other yet again. And I think the culmination of the feud when they get to the route of going to the Fight Without Honor, that just could be some great stuff, could be greatness with that match. Cannot wait to see that happen. Then the next matchup after intermission was Kenny Omega versus Christopher Daniels, and this was the Pick 6 Contender Series match. This was a good match with Kenny Omega and Christopher Daniels. Good back and forth action, really enjoyable stuff in it. Saw some good counters, good reversals. Just a very good match between these two, like you would expect. Christopher Daniels picks up the victory after hitting the BME to Kenny Omega in a 3 3/4 star match. Very good match. Then the next matchup was for the ROH World Tag Team Championships under no disqualification rules, and this was the Kings of Wrestling versus the Briscoes. Now, it was going on most of the night saying that the Briscoes were stuck at Customs. They couldn't make it past Customs to get to the show, and it was like up in the air if they were going to make the show or not. I don't know if that was actually the case and they were stuck at Customs, or Ring of Honor just kind of added that so they could add something to the storyline behind it and have the Kings of Wrestling believe that, they're not going to have to take them on and they'll just, win via forfeit. I don't know if that was actually the case, but nonetheless, thankfully that wasn't the case, and they did make the show, and that was just, thankfully they did not miss the show, because that would have happened, and the Briscoes couldn't make it here. It would have been something really terrible if that would have happened. This was what I could say about this match is, sum it up very good, is it was just it was brutality, pure brutality, great match, great in just all ways. It was just an oh my god type match. It was that good of a match. Now, it was pretty much the opposite of what you saw at the Big Bang with the Kings of Wrestling versus the Briscoes. What you saw at the Big Bang pay-per-view was pretty much a traditional tag team match and a great, classic tag team match. This was the opposite. This was nothing more than, a blood type match, and just, brawling and stuff like that, and it was just a fight. That's all this match was. But it was just as good as the match at the Big Bang, just because they did so many good things in here. Just great match. Kings Wrestling do retain the titles. I thought it might have been best to maybe kind of go the route of switching the titles back and forth, but nonetheless, I don't care. Kings Wrestling and the Briscoes, I like both of them about equal as far as tag teams, and just great action in here. Everyone was busted open. Saw a lot of blood flowing in this match, and just a lot of great stuff in this match. This is like one of those matches you need to see. And then, even to top this match, the tag team title match with the Kings of Wrestling retaining over the Briscoes. I would give that match 4.5 stars. Great match. I would say it was about equally as good as the Big Bang match, but both matches were obviously completely different from each other. One was a traditional tag match, and the other one was pretty much like a street fight, kind of brawling type match, and just pure brutality. That's pretty much what this match was, but great match, and I would definitely recommend you check that match out. Then the next matchup was the ROH World Heavyweight Championship match. This was the match that everyone was waiting for. This was Davey Richards versus Tyler Black, and a lot of people were already saying this match was going to be a classic, and it did not disappoint at all. Might even went past my expectations. That's how good this match was. This is by far, right at this point, match of the year so far. I mean, you very rarely have in any company the crowd within like 10 minutes left in the match chanting match of the year, 5-star match, and stuff like that. That's how much the crowd was into this match, just loving it. So, great back and forth action, so many near falls, so many false finishes, good back and forth action. Seemed like Davey was going to win this, but Tyler Black gutted it out. Tyler Black ended up retaining the championship, which don't have any problem them having Tyler Black retain the championship. This match was so good that, this crowd, for the most part, for about the first 25 minutes, were like saying, fuck you, Tyler Black. You cannot wrestle. You suck. And they were just completely dogging him for the most of the match. But then he pretty much proved them wrong and pretty much, had a great match with Davey Richards here. And the crowd started, at the end of the match, having, saying thank you both. And just so much great stuff in this match. Now, I know some people might think, giving 5 stars to it might be giving a little too much, but I think it does deserve getting 5 stars. I was almost deciding should have get 4 3/4 or 5 stars, but I decided giving it 5 stars because it was such a great match. It was about 40 minutes of action, pure non-stop action, and just so much great stuff in the match that it's a match that everyone needs to see. And the second half of this pay-per-view was great. This might have been like the best second half of a Ring of Honor show that I have ever seen. That's how good it was. You saw the, classic main event with Davey Richards and Tyler Black, the World Tag Team title match, Kenny Omega and Christopher Daniels, and then in the first half you saw Kevin Steen and El Generico, and it was good to see them do something to even, further the feud later on during intermission with Kevin Steen and El Generico. And really, like I said, there's only a few complaints I had with this pay-per-view. One being, I think the Aries and Delirious match shouldn't end in disqualification. The second annual Toronto Gauntlet could have been booked better. It was still, good, solid match nonetheless, but I think it could have been booked better. And the ending was kind of weak, I thought. And obviously the other thing was, just to mention it, for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, during the Toronto Gauntlet match, you saw the stream on Go Fight Live go black, but that was the only problem they had as far as production values. The production values, the rest of the show, you didn't have any problems at all. They pretty much fixed it perfectly. The video they never had a problem with. The last pay-per-view there were some problems with audio, but not much as the Final Battle one, which had a lot of problems with audio. Pretty much got it down pat, and they pretty much perfected it so good. They just need to make sure something like that happened in the Toronto Gauntlet match doesn't happen again, but they fixed it very quickly. And that was just, 3 little gripes there. Very small and minor gripes considering you had, on this pay-per-view, a 5-star match in my opinion, a 4.5-star tag match in my opinion. The Kevin Steen and El Generico match gave that 4 stars. The Kenny Omega and Christopher Daniels 3 3/4 stars. And, 2 other 3-star matches. Only one match on this pay-per-view that was even in the category of anything bad. And that was more or less due to the booking of the Aries and Delirious match. And that was really the only thing bad on this pay-per-view. So, overall, I would give this pay-per-view a 9.25 out of 10. It's definitely a pay-per-view that you need to see. So far, this has been probably the best pay-per-view of this year. Definitely must see. Must order this. If you didn't watch it earlier and didn't see it on Go Fight Live tonight live, within 24 to 48 hours, it's going to be placed on Go Fight Live where you can view it on there, and it's only $14.95. It's well worth the price of admission. I mean, hell, the main event of this pay-per-view, Davey Richards and Tyler Black, I would say, was so good. You saw 40 minutes of non-stop action with each other. That match right there is probably worth the $14.95 by itself, that match, and, you have other good matches as well. But that match right there alone is worth the $14.95. So if you didn't order this pay-per-view earlier and you're hearing a lot of praise from it, you've never checked a Ring of Honor show out before, check it out. I'm pretty sure you will not be disappointed. The link will be in the description if you haven't ordered this pay-per-view and want to check out the replay of it when it gets added to GoFightLive.tv. It'll be down below in the description box. So, yeah, that's it for my Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view review. All right, peace.